Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm Bobby Fallett. NDSU has dismissed second-year linebacker Jaden Pickett from the football program after he was arrested by Fargo police Sunday. The 19-year-old was booked into Cass County Jail after police responded to a call about shots fired. This took place in the 1200 block of 11th Street North. Police say an argument took place outside of a house party and a gunshot was fired into a house. No one was hurt, but Pickett was arrested for terrorizing and reckless endangerment. Now, NDSU's director of athletics and the head football coach issued a statement saying today that, quote, being a student athlete at NDSU is a privilege that comes with an expectation of representing the team and the university in a positive manner while being a responsible member of our community. They say Pickett violated the student athlete code of conduct and is no longer a member of the Bison football program.